Hey guys, welcome back to Follow the Figures, Pace Progression. And what we're going to do here is I have something different for you today for Saturday. Instead of doing a long drawn out video of all the stakes races from race 4 through 12 on Saturday's Derby Day, what I did was I put together a slide presentation. And I'm going to go over just one slide on here just to show you what I did and what I put into my handicap. And then the link to this whole presentation is in the description, so you guys are welcome to click the link, go on and look at the races yourselves, and see where I come up with, what I come up with in the time that I put in. I did start handicapping this on Tuesday night. I did it little by little, and we're going to take a look at the, what do you call it, just the first stakes race, where the stakes race begin on Saturday, and that's the 4th. I did not do Fridays. I did the Kentucky Oaks. That's the last race in this slide presentation. And I did that simply because I want to play an Oaks Daily Double. But I'm not playing all the stakes races leading up to the Oaks tomorrow on Friday. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to go over the grids that I used, the methods that I used, the models. And I'm also going to go over quickly how I'm going to approach the races as far as my betting goes. Now, on big days like this, I usually go in with a few other people, which I am this year. My brother-in-law and a guy I work with. We always throw like $100 a piece in, and we just put our plays in ahead of time, and we'll and go about our day and see where they go from there. Probably the only race I'm going to be able to catch and watch will be the actual Kentucky Derby, because I have baseball on Saturday. I'll be coaching, and I will just be out and about doing my thing on Saturday and checking my ADW every now and then to see how we're doing. But we have $60 a piece left over from the last time we did a a joint wagering session. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that $60, that's 180 right there, and I'm going to probably have us throw like maybe another 40 or 50 in to give us over 300 to play on all the 12 of these races. But here's what I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. First of all, I ran what I call the mega grid. And the mega grid is, this is the first time I'm introducing this grid to you, because it was really under an experimentation, and it still is. And what it does, it has all the factors that I presented to you guys in the past, pace progression model, and also the matrix system model here. I have the target rating, ability rating. I did place my target Briz figure. I replaced it with the prime number that you get out of the Briz past performances. So I have the matrix side over here has the target, the ability, the prime, Briz prime numbers, and also the speed rating, the Briz speed rating off of the last race, or the race that I'm using for the pace line, where I'm pulling all my data from. And I'm calling it the mega grid simply because it is combining the matrix system with the pace progression, and I'm also tying in the race shape. So in Briz past performances, you'll see 1C and 2C, and you'll see the variant numbers like 6, -4, -10, whatever. That's telling you how fast or how slow the race was compared to average at the first call and at the second call. I also use I use this main grid here, the mega grid, to draw my contenders. So here, for example, I have them shaded in 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11 I pulled from this race to move on to, or I reached deep into the toolbox and I pulled out the follow the figures. Okay, so even though I do not do videos on some of my older stuff, I haven't done any recent videos on some of my older stuff, it doesn't mean I don't use it anymore. There is times I still use the Brohammer Velocity Pace that I have in my thorough capping tutorial, and there's times where I pull out the follow the figures. And what I did was I took these contenders and I ran them through the follow the figures, and I came up with 2 different grids to analyze from. Now, when I did my analysis and my breakdown, I have, as you can see up here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different rankings for the runners. Over here, I have my matrix grid ranking. Over here, I have my thorough capping 1 ranking, or thorough capping rating 1 ranking. And let me just really let you know what that is real quick. All that is that's taking the fractional time rating averaged with the Briz pace number for the first call and also for the second call, and averaging them all together, and that's where I'm coming up with my thorough capping 1. Now, if you move over here, if you notice, I have a average rating for both the turn, the far turn, and the final fraction, late pace combination. There's the raw final fraction for that horse, and there's the late pace from the Briz number. Those two averaged together come out with this rating here. And what I did was I've averaged the turn with that rating here to come out with the turn and finish. And that's another assessment of its own right there, 7981. Then I had the TC2. The thorough capping 2 rating is actually TC1 adjusted based on these race shapes that I talked about that I added to the mega grids. Okay? The speed or the pace of the race, and I have red as hot, fast pace, and the darker the blue, the slower the pace was for that particular race, for that pace line that I chose. So that's where TC2 comes in. TC3 is actually a combination of the TC2, the finish, and the TC1 together. And then finally TC4 takes the TC3, which I just went over, and mixes in the matrix rating as well with that to come out with a final column here to assess or adjust. So you can see I have my rankings on all 5 of my areas. And then based on those rankings, what I did was I took my top 6, sometimes 5 in some races, 7 in some races, contenders, and I moved them into the follow the figures, and I ran them through that. And the approach I took was, if the horse didn't open my eyes in the progression model, I wasn't going to run it through the follow the figures either. Okay, so that's why the numbers here are so much, the amount of horses we're looking at here is so much less than up here. And then based on both of these grids together, I came up with my A, my B, my C, and my D selections. Now, why did I go so deep? Because we're going to be playing deeper. We're going to play deeper exotics, deeper exactas. Okay, I'm going to approach this, or we, I should say, the guys I'm in with. We're not just going to. I'm just not going to sit here and rely heavily on my A's to be on top of all my plays. We're going to play an exacta 6-7 over 1-9-11. We'll also have a 1-9 over 6-7, and then we'll throw one with the 11 on top of the 1-6-7-9. Cover them all, but without having to box 5 or sometimes 6, as you're going to see in some of the races, 6 numbers for an exacta. So there will be combinations that we could lose on if the race comes out, let's say 9-11. One of our tickets might not have a 1-11. The one strategy I have is the BC over the A. I have a 1-9 over 6-7. And I know you might say, well, why not just throw the extra few dollars in to play that? Well, we're playing 3 exactas per race, and there's 9 races right there. So we're going to be looking at about $14 to $18 per race just in exactas alone. So you add the $3 more in, $3 or $4 more that it might cost in to each of those races. Now we're looking at another $40-some being added to it. Because we're also going to play doubles, and I'm going to play my doubles the same way. I'm going to take my top in one ticket with maybe the B, C, and D in the second leg. So in this case, for this first race, I would have a 6-7 double over a 4-6. Looks like a 9. I can't see. 4-6-8 or 4-8-6. I got a line going through it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's the recording line from my software that I use to record the videos. And then I'll have another ticket where I'm going to play the opposite. I might be going the 1-9-11 double in this race with the 10 and 12. We're going to cover the A's in the pick threes. So our pick three will be 5-7 over 4-5 over 8-12. So you might be saying, well, what if a double comes out, has a 5-7 over the 4-5? Well, then the fingers are going to be crossed that the 8 or the 12 win the next race, or we lose. All right, so that's how we're covering our doubles, our horizontals, and also the exactas. I don't know how much further we're going to go in the horizontals. I don't know if we're going to put any tries in. If we're up after a few races, I may decide to, put some tries in for us as well. But I'm going to leave it at the exactas, and then obviously my normal win wager. Our win-based wager is going to be a $5 win, and I will be considering all of these horses. I'm going to go over this chart in a second here. I'm going to go up, consider all these horses, and I'm looking for double-digit odds. I'm looking for 10 to 1 or better to put the $5 wager on. Let's take a look at the eyeball scan. The eyeball scan took into account two things. It took into account the grid only looking at the speed of the races, the pace of the races that each of these horses came out of, and where they were. Okay, where if they did well early, was the pace fast? How did they finish up? It's solely based on non-quantitative factors here. And I also went back and I looked at the PPs to find some things such as moves on the turn, moves in the races, things like that I didn't list on here on these slides. And that's why I came up with my eyeball scanner. That's how I came up with it. And that's why it doesn't necessarily match the exact order I have in my A, B, C, and D. Okay? When I do the eyeball scan here, based on the grid and the things that I also looked at before, and I'm not going to break it down to exactly why I have the 1 and I have the 1 and C here, but that was just my gut instinct here based on my contenders. I have the 1-5-8-4-2, and here we have 4-5-2-7-1-8, and I'm leaving the 7 out of my eyeball scan. But I'm going to pretty much base our tickets, me and the partners that are going in with me, I'm going to kind of base it off of both of these, where the horses fall. And what I want to do is I want to show you in the link, in the description, I have the link for this slide presentation. When you go in, all you got to do is hit slideshow. Okay, so it'll start your slideshow right from the beginning, 2024 Kentucky Derby, grids and selections. And as you can see, it always gives this description here of the instructions. Click slideshow button for a closer look. And then from there, you're going to get all the races all the way up to the Derby. And I know some of you are more familiar with these grids, and some of you will probably be able to do their own eyeball scan based on what they see here. I do like to favor horses that perform well on the turn as well as in their final fraction. As I mentioned in my last video, that's an indication. This number right here, the turn and finish, is an indication on how well the horse did in that particular race from the start of the final turn all the way to the finish. But then again, sometimes your pace comes into play too. Okay? This was a race that was slightly faster than normal, and he still performed well late. And I have him on the top over here, 12. And he's also one of my A's. But again, I don't want to go into a breakdown. You guys can see it for yourself, what I have here. But I have every race up until the Derby. And then I also have Friday's Oaks, if you're looking to throw in an Oaks Daily Double. What I'm going to do is, we are going to play a $30 total double. Okay, it's going to be a $1 double. We're going to throw all 5 of these contenders in. 3, 14, 11, 8, 5 with the 6 horses that I have here in the Derby. Okay. My top 2 are based on the analysis of the grid, quantitative analysis. The 2 favorites, Sierra Leone and Fierceness, do figure best here. Okay. But I also have some long shots that I like. I like Stronghold. I like Resilience. I have Resilience in a future wager at 93 to 1. I have a $10 future wager on Resilience. So who am I hoping wins the race? I'm hoping Resilience wins the race. I will have exotics with Resilience on top, as I said before. I will have an exacta 217 over all of these. I will also have an exacta 1819 over 217.15. And I'll also play an exacta with the 4 on top with the rest of these. So as you can see, there are combinations that contain these numbers that I could lose on. But hopefully if I lose on them, I'll hit on something else, such as the double or so on. Okay, but these are my eyeball scans. The eyeball scan, looking at both the past performances qualitatively. I did look at some replays for some of the horses. I do have Sierra Leone on top, based on the fact that I think there's going to be a hot pace in this race. And Sierra Leone, if it gets a good trip, likes to come from deep. So I'm going to put the 2 on top, but I have my Resilience as second. Fierceness is third. Then we have 4 and we have 18. So I don't want to make this video any longer than it is right now. So please feel free. I also have the comment permission opened up. So if you guys want to comment and give your thoughts or any questions, just click the comment button and you'll be able to throw your comments into the into this grid as well. All right. Hopefully it's a prosperous day. It's a fun betting day. It's never the easiest betting day. But the good thing about a day like the Derby and the Breeders' Cup is you got all big races and you got horses that are not just experimenting. You don't have trainers experimenting. You got horses that are all trying to win, which is a great thing to be looking at. All right. Best of luck to all of you this weekend, and I hope you get something out of these grids. I'll talk to you soon.